Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Aliyah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Aliyah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio on OMTimes Radio. Here we are at the beginning of the new year. And 2015 was a very difficult year. And we're going to start with a lot of positive feedback of how to help you start, work with the new year. And the first book we're going to be talking about is by Nancy Byrne. And the book's name is Choices. And how really perfect that name is, especially for this first Sunday of 2016. It gives you the idea of being empowered, of searching for the wisdom within you, and understanding you're more in control of your life through the choices and how you react to events than you think you are. And Nancy provides you all these with these tools in her book. She also says, who on earth has more wisdom, love, and compassion than spirit? Author Nancy Byrne asks and questions and answers this question with her new book, Choices. Nancy helps people to transcend the limits of common thought, remember who they are, and choose to be that person again. She guides us in listening to the guidance from our souls rather than from people around us. Well, I like to bring on Nancy. Nancy, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. No, it was just a little bit of craziness in the beginning. So Nancy knows I'm calming down, and we're going to have a really good talk. You had a very unusual, as a soul coming in, you chose a lot of challenges. And I think a lot of your personal life challenges and the choices that you made and connecting to spirit really helped inspire this book within you. I mean, how did, was it spirit that said, all right, now you got to write down your experiences so you can help somebody else? Would you say that to be true?
Yes, definitely. When Spirit first told me to write a book, I thought, I have nothing to say. No one would want to read what I have to say. And I was told that I needed to write this book because my personal experience could help a lot of people. And that, other people, if you refuse to do something, Spirit always has other people in waiting. It's not like you're the only one that can do it. But he said that it was my life's experiences, my personality, and my innocence that would touch people's hearts. And I had to get the message out. He was relying on me to get the message out.
Well, the book, when I read it, it exemplifies exactly everything that you said. We have, as we grow spiritually, or especially after all the lessons that we've learned in 2015, the big thought of mass consciousness that we're putting out there right now is you have to walk your walk. And just don't go around. It's through personal experience we learn. And from what I've gone to know you, I mean, you have gone through the whole gamut since, an abusive childhood and working through things as a young adult, even up to the point where you are now. And I'd like to start a little bit about your childhood. When did you feel spirit?
I think I've always been very close to spirit, but the one time that stands out in my mind is that my father was very physically abusive, emotionally abusive, and he had raped me since I was about 2 years old. Anyway, for some reason, it was one afternoon and that I was so low and everything. And so that evening, Dad went to the bars, which he usually did. And so everyone was in bed, and I snuck out the back door. And we lived across the street from the Catholic Church. We were Catholics at the time. And, they didn't lock the doors in Rocky Ford, Colorado. So I went in and I walked up to the very front pew and I knelt down and was praying. And there were no lights on the entire church, just two penance candles that people had lit.
Yeah.
And I remember just really just begging God to let me die. I was like, I'm so miserable. I don't know why you're doing this to me. There's so many people that want to live and they die, and I don't want to die, and you're making me live. Why are you doing this? And I was sobbing and sobbing, and then I felt a hand on my shoulder, and I thought, oh, great, it's the priest. He's going to take me home, and now I'm going to get another beating because I snuck out of the house. So I turned around, and no one was there. And when I looked back to the front, the altar, the whole altar area it was lit up in a glow of light. It was kind of a soft golden glow, and it just felt so warm and so loving and caring. And then I felt really ashamed of myself, and I was only about 10 or 11 at the time, but I remember just thinking that, oh my gosh, I've been given this wonderful, amazing gift of life. And I was asking to just throw it away. It was like somebody gave you the best gift they could ever give you. And I was sending it back to them and saying I didn't want it. So I remember running out of the church and going back home because I was so ashamed of myself and thinking that even God wouldn't follow me to my home, because if my dad lived there, everyone was terrified of my father. But that really changed my life, because then I just had this knowing, I guess it is, in my soul that I am loved, somebody bigger and greater and than a mere human being. Some being, something really important loved me and took the time to come and show me.
That was quite a mystical experience for a child, because I often think of, my own daughters growing up or my grandchildren, and this is kind of out of the norm. A lot of the kids, they don't have that sense of inner knowing or comfort that, it gave you. But that's sort of like, from what I'm saying, it was the first step on this path of spirituality. Did you find yourself more forgiving of your father, your parents?
Yes, I've totally forgiven him. I understand now, and that people act the way they are usually because they're afraid. And I feel like he was very disappointed and discouraged how his life had turned out. I think he probably had a lot greater hopes. And so he just had, instead of choosing to move forward or make something with his life, he decided to go into a life of, drinking, chasing other women and abusing his family.
So that's sort of the first hint of the word choices, how you react to situations. I mean, I'm bringing it up because everything I've read in your book seems to follow that word, choices. That's why it's so perfect. Even in forgiving, I mean, it's very hard when you've been hurt to look at the situation and say, I need to forgive this person. Even if it's all wrong, I need to understand them. And that was a choice by you, how you were going to react to him. So if did he change his reaction to you? Because sometimes if you show less fear toward a person, they back off. Was that the case or not?
No, and
Unfortunately.
I have to say that, I my mouth has a mind of its own. I remember my sister and brother never were beaten by him, but they said, as grown-ups, they said the only reason he picked on you, he said, because you're the only one that ever stood up to him. I had he had tried he I thought he was killing my mom as a child, and I stood up to him, and so they said, he hates you. You're the only one that stands up to him. So, perhaps if I'd have been a little more passive, he wouldn't have beat me. But, at 2 years old, when you start getting raped by your own father, there's not a lot you can do about it.
No, no.
And another thing is, I think that, I would never want to go back and relive that experience. I'm really, it sounds crazy, I guess, but honestly and truly, I'm really grateful for all the experiences I've had in my life, because I'm me right now because of all those experiences. I think those experiences have helped teach me great lessons. And my father was an amazing teacher. He taught me so much. And I'm really, at this point in my life, it's not like things are going perfectly, but you have to choose to make the most of it. But the first time in my life, I really, really love who I am. I'm a good person. I'm compassionate. I care about others. If that wouldn't have happened, maybe I wouldn't have turned out this way. Maybe I would have just been totally different. I don't know, but I'm grateful for all of my experiences.
And I think all your experiences has helped you. I've seen as far as you being a counselor, but you've also helped, support people in very traumatic situations like rape, etc. So we'll have to continue this after the next commercial.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IMFM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IMFM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IMFM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IMFM.
Education-wise, and what she's done with it, which reflects on her desire to help people. She majored in psychology at the University of Colorado, Denver, for both graduate and undergraduate. She has worked for adolescent psychiatric treatment hospital, also for women in need of group support programs at a rape crisis center, also a major police department as director of a victim services, and several high-risk shelters for adults. Now, all this makes you very perfect for this work because of this background. It seemed like on your soul path, you needed to experience all this challenges so that you could come from the heart and relate to these people and help them. Do you think this is so?
Yes, I do. I think that it gives you a better understanding for the pain and turmoil that other people experience. And one thing I want to say, Laya, is I was sitting in the emergency room yesterday, and there was this elderly woman in her wheelchair, and her son was talking to her, and she was saying they were getting ready to take her to a nursing home, and I was trying to listen to her because she said that she had so many regrets, and she said that if she used to just stay awake at night worrying about what was going to happen, and she'd make herself so anxious instead of living the life that that she'd been given. She felt like she had thrown so much of it away with worries and doubt and confusion and depression. And for some reason, it really struck my soul, because so many of us do that. Many of us in less than optimal living conditions fall into the mode of self-pity and self-despair. We do not realize what a fantastic, tremendously this gift of life is. You can make anything out of yourself that you choose to. You have the power within you because Spirit resides in you. And if you would just listen to Spirit instead of to everybody else around you, you really could have a better life. We create our own destiny no matter what. So instead of creating a bad, horrible, awful destiny for our lives, why don't we create a positive one? It's up to us. It's your life. You can't hand it over to somebody else and ask them to make it work for you. You can't rely on somebody else. You and you alone are the only person that can make or break your life. Yes, our souls do choose soul purposes, but we get to decide. We get to choose what we're going to do with that life that we've been given. And it just seems that so many people are struggling and they just can't get out of their hole that they've built themselves in. If you would just think about, the very fact that we're here alive today is a miracle, considering that, everything that our predecessors went through, our ancestors went through, all the animals that attacked them, the pestilence, the floods, the hunger, the diseases, and everything, that you are here. Your chances of being here today are one in, I don't know the exact number, I'm just going to say one in a gazillion. Some great force wants you to be here and has given you every single thing, and I know this in my heart, everything you need to live a good life.
No, I think no, go ahead.
If you're just going to throw it away and just, have a pity party, you don't realize it. Life is too short. You have to enjoy every minute of it. You have to make the most of every minute. It's not all fun and games. I ended up in the emergency ward yesterday, but it was me. It was something that I did. And sometimes, I had a professor in college, and he said that if you break someone's window and you're really sorry for it, and you ask their forgiveness and they forgive you, you know what? Somebody still has to pay for that window, though. So it wasn't the people's fault, the home or whatever window you broke. You're going to have to pay for that window. So sometimes we make very bad choices, and then we don't understand why we have very bad circumstances.
But I think also that what you bring up It's so important because you actually described 2015 for a mass majority of people. And I think that they're so lost. And they look for an answer. But I think the starting point is sometimes they need something to read or somebody just to listen, not to reinforce the pity party, which is natural. No one wants to say, well, you did this to yourself. You have to watch how you present it. But when you empower a person and say, you can change this through your choices, that's why your book, I think, needed to be put out there. Because even for the women in the hospital, I mean, the emergency room that you listened to, she sort of had that aha moment. Look where I am now, and maybe dreams I didn't accomplish because I was afraid or people wouldn't accept me for these dreams. And having you speak, even on the radio, it inspires people. How would you, even with you doing this professionally with your background or your counseling, how do you get people started on the right track?
I think what I try to do is get them to realize that what they're doing now isn't working. It's, I remember reading something that Dr. Phil said. It's like you're pounding your head against a brick wall and it's getting bloody and it's really a mess. And it's not getting you anywhere. But the next time something happens, you do the same thing just because, well, that's what you've always done. I think some people sometimes they don't realize or they don't really know any better. And honestly, when you're in the middle of a horrific situation, sometimes it's hard to call out to spirit and ask for the right answers. But you have to find the strength within you to do that because, at least for me, each and every time I've asked, I've received. Each and every time. Sometimes I've been right at the edge of the cliff and the ground is falling all around me and I am terrified and spirit is saying, jump, just jump, I'll catch you. In fact, this is a dream I have a lot. And I'm like, jump, it's a long ways down there. And I'm not jumping, I'm terrified to jump. But really where I'm at isn't a good place either. The ground is falling apart all around me. And then I slip and I'm hanging off the edge of the cliff and there's a little tiny branch and I'm holding on to it so tightly. I mean, putting my whole life in the hands of this little branch instead of to spirit who's telling me to just let go. That's the message, just let go. Anyhow, the little branch is pulling out of the mountain and I'm looking down and thinking, well, what have I got to lose? So I let go and I jump off. I jump down the rest of the way. And I land so softly in this field of flowers. And there's a mountain stream and they're deer eating. And it's just so amazing. And I look up at what I came from. And I look at this and I'm thinking, what was the matter with me? Why didn't I just let go? When you just let go, I think, and you have to do your part, of course, but just trust in spirit that there's some divine, wonderful force out there that loves you more than you could ever imagine, loves you more than you love yourself. I think the thing is in our human brains and our minds, we always think that we have all the answers and we're going to do it our way and things should turn out the way we want them to turn out. It hasn't happened with me that way. Things turn out exactly the way I needed them to turn out because we don't see the whole picture. Spirit does. We just see as though we're blindfolded and we can just see straight ahead. And we don't even understand that the things you can't see are a lot more important than the things you can see. Because it's like Spirit is orchestrating everything perfectly for you so things can turn out the way you want it. But in our minds right now, that's not even an option to us. We don't even know what's going on. And, it's a matter of letting go and trusting.
And I I know we're going to be heading up for another break, and we'll, continue the thing. What I want people to listen to the next is, Nancy, for you to give people what that sense of spirit is, and maybe how you think maybe they can connect or lose themselves into trusting something that they don't see, but they need to feel. I know that's a complicated question, but think on that as we head toward the break, because I don't want to get started now because it was only going to break up. But what you had mentioned of letting go is so important. But sometimes I don't think people really recognize that there is a spirit, in whatever form that they wish to call it, whether it's God or a source. And how to reconnect with that feeling is, what I, really like you to maybe give your perceptions on, because it's a starting point. So you're going to think you're going to be up to that for the next segment?
Sure.
That's good, because it is love, and that thing of letting go in any reading material that's coming at us through channels, etc. Right now, everybody says surrender to the higher part of you. And people, like you said, are afraid to let go of old patterns or to open themselves up to something new. So this is what we're going to investigate, very shortly, and different ways possibly of how to connect to spirit. I know I'm kind of babbling here, but I'm trying to get to this. Here we go. The music's saving me. We'll be back with Nancy.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IMFM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Being a radio host on IMFM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IMFM.
We're back with Nancy, and I was thinking during the commercial, even for myself as a counselor, so many people come and say, how do I feel spirit? How do I connect? How do I know it's out there? How do you approach that question?
I believe that the reason people don't sometimes understand how to connect with spirit is because they don't even know how to connect with themselves. I think that people get into this rut of, they seek advice from everyone else. Well, no one's life is perfect. You're just asking advice from other mere people like you. We think we're not worthy. I remember I never thought that I was even worthy enough to ask spirit for anything, because I was just, a little girl whose own dad didn't love her. And I'm not promoting the Bible in any way, shape, or form, but I grew up as a Catholic, so it's all I know. I remember reading, there was a verse about something in my father's mansion. There were many homes or something, many rooms, but then it was talking about that there was there were the finest plates made of pure silver, and they were used when the guests came over. And then there were other plates, just regular plates in the kitchen, and they were just good enough to take out the trash. And that's what I always thought about my life. I'm only good enough to take out the trash. And it really, one of the most important things is to realize who you are, what an amazing, fantastic human being you are. And you are a soul. They say we're just, physical beings experiencing, a soul experience. That's not true. We're spiritual beings, and we're experiencing a physical experience. We are spiritual beings. We are going to live on forever and ever and ever. And you know what? If we've been given the gift of life and spirit lives within us, how can we possibly not be spiritual beings? We have the power to do anything in our own lives. I think whether you believe in, Jesus and Buddha, I don't know who else there is, but whatever, the divine, the universe, there's something, even for people that are atheists and don't believe in a God, there is some force out there that you can just tap on into. I use meditation to connect with God, but that's not the only way. You can just walk around in the forest, just calm yourself, go for a walk, go do something, figure out what it is that you enjoy doing that brings you pleasure, and start doing it for you a little bit every day. And then spend a little bit of time in quietness. We're so busy trying to make a living. We're so busy thinking of what we need to do next. We're so busy planning for the future. Well, you know what? All you have is right now, this moment. So enjoy it. Don't throw it away, because if you throw away this moment, you'll throw away the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. And what is it bringing you? Nothing. You're not gaining anything from it. You need to choose that you're going to do something with your life and you're going to make it worth living. Don't throw it away. So I think just spending a little time in introspection and meditation has done. I'm a type A personality. I am anal. And I have to sit down and just talk to spirit, whether my eyes are shut. We live in Whidbey Island right now, which is an amazing place to live. It's so gorgeous. And even when it's freezing outside or very cold, I bundle myself up in my little down parka and I go out there and I say, Spirit, please show me what I need to learn for today. Please show me. And it's not like I get boom, the clouds, path open and thunder and lightning come down and I get my answer, but it's just in your heart. You know what the answers are. You're given clarity. And people say they don't have time to meditate. You don't have time not to. When I'm running around like a crazy woman trying to get everything done, I actually have more time on my hands. I feel better about it. I'm not as anxious. If I can just spend, however you do it, spend a little time every day with spirit. We've been given our lives 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. Surely you can give 5 minutes to devote a little bit of your precious time to just communicating with spirit.
So what I like is you're also telling people, just talk. No matter what you're doing, if you're washing dishes and you're trying to figure out a problem, just talk to spirit or to the angels or whatever name is comfortable to you.
That's true.
And expect an answer. So if you hear something, or if a book falls off the shelf, or you're on the computer and an answer, you'll be directed to look at something. This is how a spirit communicates.
And you have to pay attention to the signs you're getting. Most of us are oblivious. I sometimes go around in such a daze just trying to think. I don't even know what I'm thinking about. My puppy's right there wanting me to go get her a figure, and I'm not paying attention. And I feel so much that's what I do with spirit, that we all do with spirit so many times. Spirit is always trying to give us the answers, and we just don't pay attention. When my husband's father died, I remember I was so surprised because when I went to the Catholic Church, it was all kind of gloom and you're going to die in hell and all this stuff if you don't repent. But this priest said to look for signs. That Phil's dad would try to give people signs and let them know he was okay. And he said, and ask. You have to ask. Ask and you shall receive. And I truly believe that. If you don't have it, it's because you're not asking. And you don't ask because you don't believe and you don't trust. But anyway, he said, now if you ask to have, a song, Bad to the Bone, play from nowhere at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, it's probably not going to happen. But pay attention to the signs. So afterwards, or a couple of days later, everybody went out to eat lobster because his dad just loved lobster. And when Connor went up to pay for the bill, a $20 bill just floated through the air and literally almost came right to his hand. And he shut his fist and he looked at it and it was a $20 bill. So he asked everybody in the restaurant, he said, did anybody just lose a $20 bill? One just kind of blew into my hand and they said, no, nobody had lost it. And then he said, it was as if he just knew that was my husband's dad. And he was paying the $20 for his wife's lobster bill because that's exactly what it was. Wow. And he was showing her that he's still taking care of her. He's still around. He's just changed. You just change when you cross over. So to me, we need to look at the signs. There are signs everywhere, just like me being in the waiting room that day and listening to this woman's conversation. What are the chances of her being there the exact same time I'm being there? And it was like something I needed to hear.
So if you look for the signs, I'm going to tell you, even though I think of myself that, I'm able to see and hear different things. I am one of the most oblivious people until it hits me over the head.
Me too. Me too.
So, what we suggest, or even I'm listening to you, I'm going, why do we make it so hard? Why do I have to trip over something before I finally get it? But I think this message that you say is so important. You're going, look at signs, look at what they call the synchronicity or coincidences. They are messages or, positive reinforcement, for what you're doing or for an answer you're looking for. And if I was brought up a Greek Catholic, which is very ritual, very strict, the Orthodox priests, first they scare you to death.
Yes.
Because they're so stern looking. It's like, oh my God, but I love the ritual of the church. But to have a priest say what he had said, to you, I think that's beautiful. He was a very enlightened priest, one that's, ready to really help people move into this new age, because he takes the practice of the church but opens it up more, and helping people see that, like you said, passing or transitioning is just, it's almost like an invisible door. It's a different dimension. That doesn't always help people, but it is a wonderful way to look at it. And to me, I find it to be very true. But, everybody has to progress as they want. But what I was getting at, you're saying look for the signs and then make the choices, which is a very important combo there.
Yes, and I think that, I do readings for people too, and it seems to me that people have something set in their minds and they will not let go of it. Like I asked for God to take my life and her spirit to take my life, and I'm still alive. Some of the things you ask for aren't for your
highest good
purpose, yes, and not for your greatest joy. I was married another time, and I remember that a friend of my ex-husband had a wife, and she had invited me to go see a psychic. And I totally didn't believe in that, I didn't know what it was, but I went with her. And I made sure to take off my ring so she wouldn't have much information, and it wouldn't be. And she said that I shouldn't be with my husband. She said he was very closed-minded. He didn't care that much about other people. And I did. I had a good heart, and I needed to be with somebody that was more like me. And I walked out of there, and I was like, ugh, stupid old woman. What does she know? Blah, 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 blah. Well, then my ex-husband and I were also elders later on in this Bible-packing church. And this lady was standing on the stage, and there were all about 5,000 women. And she said, now, I want to pray for you. She said, but only come up if you have a burning question in your heart, because obviously the stage does not hold 5,000 people. So I only want just a few of you. If there's something you really need to know, come up. And then she pointed right to me, and I was in the middle section, like in the middle seat. And she goes, you need to come up here. So when I went up to the platform, the stage, and she said, what do you need? And I said, I don't need anything. You're the one that told me to come up here.
All right, we'll have to continue that, but please, next segment, let's go on with it.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IMFM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IMFM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IMFM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IMFM.
As this last segment, which always comes so quickly, Nancy brought up a good point. Sometimes maybe the signs include a person that crosses your path indirectly. They have a message for you. If you'll continue on with what you were saying before.
Well, and then I had a dream. Sometimes I have these dreams that it's just like I'm living inside of them, and they always come true. I think they're prophetic dreams. But I had a dream about my ex, and I don't want to go into that on the radio.
No,
But
no, no, that's okay.
I I just did not want to let go. I knew things were happening. I didn't, but I didn't want to see him. And I was so terrified. I did not want to be a divorced woman and, not successful in a marriage too, because I felt like such a failure. And, you know what though, now I look back, it is the best thing that happened to me. I would have never met my husband had I not been divorced, because I would never,
Hmm.
and it was just so, sometimes we try so desperately to hold on. We refuse to let go of something. Sometimes you need to let go so that something a million times better can come into your life. And we just don't, we're scared. We want to hold on to what we have. And that's a biggest lesson that I've learned. You need to let go and you need to trust. And even moving to this island, I loved our home in Colorado. It was twice as big as his home, and we had more acreage, and I had planted all these trees by myself. And Spirit said I was moving to Whidbey Island. And I was like, bet me, I'm terrified of water. Why would I want to move on an island? But we moved, and I can't imagine ever going back. It is just, it's paradise here.
So it's sometimes you're faced, what you're saying, sometimes you get, I don't know, it's exactly the message, or you're presented with a situation, maybe you don't want to do it, but it really, you're saying trust because maybe it is really for your highest good. I mean, people face, well, if I'm losing my job, is there something else out there? Or sometimes the fact of losing the job means maybe you're ready to move on to something bigger and better, but you have to make the choice to trust and let's see what's happening.
I think that is so true. It's always frightening. I mean, like I said, when I got my divorce, I was so depressed for over a year. But now I have this, no one's perfect, but I'm in this wonderful marriage, and I don't get, it's totally different. And the house here is smaller, but it's just gorgeous. And Spirit always knows what's best for you, much more than you know yourself. I think you just have to trust that you're loved and that you are provided for, and that each and every single time that I follow Spirit, my life turns out so much better. You just really do need to let go and trust that. And besides, it's physically impossible for us to do so many things. Nothing is impossible with Spirit. Nothing. So if I want to do something that looks too big for me, I can just ask Spirit and it'll happen. And I don't know how it happens. I don't see, what's going on in the background. I just know that it happens. It's the same, it's the same with writing this book, Choices. I did not want to write it. It was just, and it's a pain to write a book. And so Spirit kept saying, you've got to write the book. So I went out thinking my mind was going to be blank. I meditated first. I started writing, and I'm not kidding, within about 2.5 weeks, the book was finished. I didn't write the book. It was Spirit. I just kept writing, and things kept coming down on the paper, and then I'd read them afterwards. I was like, wow. But this is really insightful. This is a good book, And then I met a friend, and she discouraged me from writing because she's a PhD psychologist. She'd written a book, and she said it was a lesson in futility, and that it cost $65,000 to publish a book. So I put the book on the shelf for about 2 years. And then one morning I woke up and I could hear just like the whole room was ringing, just, Nancy, you have got to finish the book. So I went out that day and I finished the book. And I came in and I was just all Yancy and just hysterical. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get it published. There's so many people, blah, blah, blah. What am I supposed to do? And my husband turned around and looked at me and goes, Nancy, why don't you go ask the author of the book who you're supposed to go through? I was like, Well, I just decided I'd do that later. I turned on Facebook. I've been on Facebook for 3 or 4 years, and I've never seen, ever seen an advertisement for Balboa Press. It just popped up, and I'm like, huh? So then I'm complaining again, and so then I did an automatic writing, and it said the Balboa Press had been brought to my attention because they would do a good job for me, so I should go through them. And I did, and it didn't take 4 or 10 years or 7 years or however much long it takes. I sent my book in at the end of October, and about in 3 months, it was published in April.
Wow.
In April, I was a featured author at the Louise Hay I Can Do It conference. The book they said that the book was #1 of the best sellers. I could have never seen that. I begrudgingly, typed the words to this book because Spirit asked me to do it. I never, ever, ever thought anyone would want to read the book. And it really is an inspirational, wonderful book. But if I had written it, it wouldn't have been. I just, writing about some of the experiences I wrote about, I think would have caused people to become suicidal if I had written it. But it's written in a lighthearted kind of, just encouraging. The book brings encouragement. It doesn't take you down. If I would have written the book, it would have depressed people.
No, I was going to say the book reflects your personality. And I told you that when, we first had a chance to talk. It's for the listeners that are out there, how you listen to Nancy's voice and how it's very real and very heart-centered. And, she's been through the ups and downs. And her book isn't down. I mean, she has a lot of funny moments. Even about her slipping on a grape, and the lessons, that taught her. And it's a very enjoyable book where there's a lot of really spiritual lessons in the book about trust. And pretty much, I think it comes out, well, if she could do it, so can anybody else there listening. You just have to make that choice to do it. And I'm glad she did it. I really am, because I thoroughly enjoy the book, and I thoroughly enjoy listening to you, talk, because you're very authentic. It's not that you're putting it out there, well, this is what you have to do. You're just saying, well, this is what happened with me. And this is, how life is proceeding. So I was interested about the part you just mentioned about getting the book published, because some people have said to me, well, I should write a book. And I'm going, the same thing as you. Who wants to listen, to things about my life with the journey or whatever? And even if I did decide to do that, who would you go to? And the same thing with other people. I know people that have self-published, and they go, this is a horrid situation. So you make it sound so easy.
Well, it wasn't real easy. First of all, I'm computer illiterate. And when I had sent the manuscript into them or sent it to them and they'd send me things back, it was difficult because I would type out the paragraphs and they would be sent back to me and they were all jumbled. There was one word on one page and 3 words on another page, and that's not what I had sent in. But we figured it out that the computer was... that they had a different model of computer. And I remember telling Spirit, I'm going to give you all the credit for the book because you wrote the book, but that was the easy part. I had to screw around with with getting it published and typing it up and dealing with the computer.
That's true.
But everything else just fell into place. And even if you don't feel that you can do it. If you have a desire in your soul, in your heart, I think that Spirit sometimes puts that desire in your soul, in your heart for a reason. You really, really should follow it. If you don't do it now, then when? If you procrastinate, put it off now, you'll never do it. Just like when I put my book on the shelf for 2 years, think of all the people it could have touched in that 2 years. But I listened to another human being and not to Spirit. Listen to Spirit because Spirit loves you more than anybody else. Spirit knows what's best for you more than you yourself know. there's always a plan. If you listen to the plan, things work out. And besides that, if not you, who? Each of you has a special thing to offer to the world. You know what? You're really being stingy by holding on to it and not offering it to the rest of the world. Even if it's been done before, you put a different spin on it. You have a different perspective. You're you. There can never, ever, ever, ever be another you. The universe will never experience your essence as you. Once you're gone, that's it. You can't be cloned, and your soul can't be cloned. So you have something to offer. If you really are interested in writing a book, write the book. You know, if you're interested in doing something else, do it, because you have that desire. And along with that desire comes everything you need to fulfill your desire. You're given everything you need. You're just not seeing it because you're not trusting in yourself. You don't have faith in yourself. You can do anything.
It's interesting listening to you talk, because it's sort of Nancy stepped aside and Spirit just talked through her. You know, I was going to ask, what message do you have for people for this new year? And you just gave it naturally. So that's pretty cool. So Nancy, I'm going to thank you for your time. You're absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. I'm honored to have been here.
And everybody, please look, I have it on the radio page. Look for the book Choices. You'll enjoy it immensely, just as we've enjoyed listening to Nancy. Have a happy New Year, Nancy. I'll be in touch.